the Field Training Center in Bemowo-Piskie. Just a second ago, the bilateral meeting between the Deputy Prime Minister of Republic of Poland and Defense Ministry Władysław Kośniak-Kamysz and the Secretary General Mark Rutte came to an end. Minister, the floor is yours. Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, this is a historical day, a wonderful day for the whole Poland, for our security, for the transatlantic alliance. This morning, I received an announcement of the full combat readiness of the Patriot system served by our missile forces, our air defense, and our missile defense units. And now we will have the opportunity to host Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, again in Poland. He visited our country a number of times as a Prime Minister of the Netherlands. Now for over 1 year and a half, he's been visiting us in his new fantastic role. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you for the Operation Eastern Sentry and Baltic Sentry. Both these operations strengthen the security on the eastern flank of NATO and the security of the airspace over Poland and other eastern flank countries, and also it increases the security of the Baltic Sea. These decisions were made during the term of the Secretary General Mark Rutte. We have a lot of things to discuss today, a lot of shared interests related to the enhanced forward presence based on the 2016 decision in the summit in Warsaw. NATO decided to deploy its forces in Poland and on the alliance eastern flank. Bemowo-Piskie is one of those places where the FLIFBG is stationed as part of the initiative of NATO. We have the honor to host them here in Poland. They train with the Polish soldiers. They communicate together. American, British, Croatian, Romanian, and Polish soldiers all working together, 5 nations united as part of our joint alliance, the biggest defense alliance in the world, which is the Transatlantic Alliance. We also discussed the situation in Ukraine and possible ways of supporting this country, discussing the prospects for peace in Ukraine and also in the field of our capabilities. I informed Secretary General of on our contracts, the recent purchase of the Swedish submarines for the Polish Navy, of increasing, stepping up our capabilities in the area of drones, and also the proposals of new systems that we will offer to our allies. This is a very important topic for us. Also, the development of infrastructure, dual-use infrastructure, so not just for the military purposes, but also we are speaking about pipelines, roads, and railways that have to be extended in the eastern Poland, reaching as far as the Baltic countries and the Czech Republic, Czechia. Thank you very much for the support, because this is a joint initiative of the Transatlantic Alliance and its members, as well as the national states. We are meeting just before Christmas. The Secretary General always picks this place where he visits the NATO troops, and we are absolutely overjoyed that our country was chosen this year. Christmas in Poland has a great tradition. It is all about family reunions, and today we have this reunion in the family of our allies, of soldiers that arm in arm, hand in hand, are ready to fulfill our obligations. I would like to emphasize once again our commitment to all the obligations resulting from the NATO treaty. We will be committed to our allies, and we pay a lot of weight to the word solidarity that is multivectoral. We are ready to help, and we have a profound trust in our structures. Poland is a very staunch ally within the NATO alliance. Thank you very much. Prime Minister, thank you. Secretary General Mark, the floor is yours.
Dear Vaniswav, thank you for the warm welcome to Poland and here in Bemowo Piski. We are here indeed to thank the servicemen and women who serve as part of NATO's forward land forces, led here in Poland by the United States as the framework nation. As well as US troops, this base hosts troops from Romania, Croatia, the UK and of course Poland. And indeed, many of them will spend the holiday period away from their families, standing watch, keeping us all safe and enhancing our deterrence and defence posture on NATO's eastern flank. The forward land forces here in Bemowo Piski are just one example of how allies come together in service of our shared security. It is also an example of Poland's many contributions to our collective deterrence and defence. On the land, at sea and in the air, Poland's military continues to grow stronger. You are showing leadership by investing over 4.5% of GDP in defence, with that number set to rise even further in 2026. Next year, you will begin receiving F-35 fighter jets. And I welcome your plans to increase the strength of your armed forces to 300,000 personnel by 2035. 300,000 by 2035. You host key elements of NATO's military infrastructure, including headquarters, multinational corps northeast, and an air policing base at Malbork. Poland also provides crucial support to Ukraine, something we are all committed to, not only as the push for peace continues, but well beyond. Ukraine's security is ours. Poland knows this well. Since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion, you have allocated more than €4 billion in military aid to Ukraine, including $100 million to Pearl, which provides essential US equipment to Ukraine, and welcomed also so many Ukrainians fleeing the horrors of war. Poland also hosts critical facilities supporting our efforts to help Ukraine, including a crucial logistics hub for NATO support to Ukraine, as well as the Joint Analysis Training and Education Center, JTAC, in Bydgoszcz. In response to repeated incursions into NATO airspace on the eastern flank, including here in Poland, we launched Eastern Sentry. Eastern Sentry, much like Baltic Sentry, launched earlier this year, has strengthened our collective defence. It adds flexibility and it adds resilience to NATO's posture on the eastern flank and sends a clear message. As a defensive alliance, we are ready to deter and defend from the Black Sea to the High North and beyond. Bottom line, NATO stands united and ready to deter aggression and defend our freedom and security, and to continue our vital support to Ukraine. Dear Vladislav, thank you so much for your steadfast support to our transatlantic alliance.
Dziękuję panie sekretarzu. Szanowni państwo, jeżeli są pytania do naszych prelegentów, to jest ten czas. Proszę o podejście.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, the time is now. Our guests, our panelists are ready to take questions. TVN24, I have a question to Prime Minister. My question is as follows. I would like to ask about the training ground that is supposed to be built in the Suwałki Gap, Suwałki corridor. This is our soft spot. Did you talk to the Lithuanian party about what it may look like? And if the cooperation is indeed to take place, how will it evolve? Will any exercises be performed in this location in the future? Our cooperation with Lithuania is really remarkable. We're very close allies, and we know very well each other's capabilities. We know how to complement them. Poland has been investing in the extension of railways and roads in this country in order to step up the military mobility. This is one of the prerequisites of the SAFE program, SAFE initiative, and I actually talked about it with Mr. Secretary General about this particular issue. In the SAFE initiative, we included both the military project and those that pertain to military mobility and the strengthening of the forces that report to the Ministry of Administration, such as police, for instance, or border guards. This is compatible with our joint initiatives with allies. So we will spend on infrastructure. We spend some money on infrastructure and other initiatives in this domain. These are investments in the defense capabilities of NATO, and this is something that we deeply care about. We are very much interested in cooperation with Lithuania in order to extend the infrastructure for military purposes, including the training grounds, the training area. Tomorrow I have a meeting already scheduled with my counterpart in this country, so we will definitely discuss this project too. We support one of the projects, which is joint exercises, but also creating some shared space for these exercises, and they have our support. Przemysław Sławiński, Polsat News. I have a question to the Secretary General Mark Rutte. My question is as follows. I would like to ask about information that has been present in social media, in social space, about potential guarantees for Ukraine from the allies within the NATO. President Zelensky suggested recently that Ukraine might actually give up on their plans and aspirations to be a NATO member in exchange for such security guarantees. My question is, do you imagine that, can you envisage this situation that Ukraine would get some guarantees in terms of security, something model along the lines of the 5th article, and could it happen against the will of Russia?
Let me answer in two. One on NATO membership for Ukraine. There is a principle and a practical element here. The principal element, as you know, is that any country in the Euro-Atlantic area can apply for membership. That's the Washington Treaty, and in the Washington Summit last year in Washington in 2024, allies agreed on the irreversible path of Ukraine into NATO. And there is a practical element, and the practical element is that, as we speak, a couple of allies are saying they will not give their consent and therefore will withhold unanimity to Ukraine entering NATO. Countries like Hungary, the United States, Slovakia, and maybe a couple others. So that's the practical point of it. So that leaves us then with the question, if a peace deal is done on Ukraine, a long-term ceasefire or a full peace deal, how do we prevent the Russians from ever attacking Ukraine again? How do we prevent a repeat of what happened after Minsk II in 2014-2015? And this is where the security guarantees come in place. And the security guarantees, as they are currently being designed, have 3 layers. Layer 1 is the Ukrainian armed forces. They will be, of course, like in Poland and everywhere in NATO territory, in this case outside NATO territory in Ukraine, will be the first line of defense. The second line of defense is, of course, what the coalition of the willing under the leadership of the United Kingdom and France have been designing over the last couple of months. How can the Europeans help here, together with Canada, to make sure that the peace will be sustained? And the US, and this is the third element of this, the American president said in August that he wants the US to be part of those security guarantees. And at the moment, discussions are ongoing what that exactly would mean and how then this collective package of security guarantees would look like. That's currently the debate going on. It's extremely important because indeed, after a peace deal, if not NATO, and NATO for practical reasons is not possible now, how do we prevent a further attack of the Russians? And Putin has to know that after a peace deal, if he would try to attack Ukraine again, the reaction will be devastating. And this is exactly how we are designing these security guarantees.
Dziękuję. Panie premierze, czy pan chce się wypowiedzieć w tym temacie?
Tylko 2 zdania.
Prime Minister, would you like to add anything? Just 2 sentences. It was really important also to see how the stance of the United States of America has changed over the last 6 or 8 months. We're talking about the change of power in the White House, and we had this first meeting that was held by Secretary General Mark Rutte with the defense ministers, including Mr. Hexas from the States. And we could see that this distancing of the United States of America to the cause of Ukraine was almost palpable. And then we had this new initiative, which was the purchase of the American equipment and a joint responsibility of Europe and Europe's contribution. And we had here this conversation between Secretary General and President Trump. It bore fruit, and the meeting that took place in October this year with the defense minister, Hegseth, looked completely different than before. It had an absolutely different result. So I think that this conversation that took place before that was of key importance. It was of pivotal meaning, because now there are no breaks in providing intel, in providing even this most sensitive information, providing equipment. Collaboration is flourishing, and we can see it in a number of fields. The progress that has been made in these talks, it is not maybe a clear signal that everything will go according to plan. However, definitely we can see an increase of commitment of the United States of America, so we can be more optimistic during this Christmas than a year ago. I can't see any more questions. Thank you very much, Prime Minister, Secretary General. Thank you very much, gentlemen.